Okay, hello everyone. This is George Webb. I'm here at the Swing State newsroom on the Ohio-Indiana border, Ohio-Michigan border. This side of the Swing State newsroom is Michigan, and then this side of the Swing State studios is Ohio. So we have that flags for everybody, so don't worry about that. You can pick your side. But more recently, we made the decision to declare this an autonomous zone. This area here is an autonomous zone now. You may have, that's not why we're creating an autonomous zone. This is a preservation of the Constitution autonomous zone. We want to create a safe space. You know, you've seen the liberal students all going to their safe space on campus when someone says something like, you're going to have to get a job someday. All the kids run off to their safe space to cry on the colleges. That's sort of like what we're doing, only this is going to be for people who still believe in the Constitution. So if you're from Ohio, if you're from Indiana, if you're from the tri-state area, and then someone says, hey, we can go ahead and let the governor do whatever she wants. We don't have to listen to the Supreme Court when they limit her constitutional emergency authorities to 21 days. We can just ignore that. We can keep finding businesses. We can do whatever we want because we want to get Trump. Okay. This is a safe space that you can come to. So I remember Dave Underdown. Now we're moving from these guys over here, which is our audience. These are going to be the questioners, and we're going to be moving toward Tim Spencer, who has this big story about the Trump, the TurkeyGate that's coming up. So we're going to get you started with TurkeyGate, and we're going to tell you it's one word, like we've told you for 4 years. It's about pipelines. If you understand the pipelines, the whole story makes sense. If you try to put together MSM, you cannot make any sense of it whatsoever. You can listen for hours, days, years, and never understand. But with pipelines, you understand in one word. That's why we focus on it. Dave Underdown is our guy here at the Swing State Newsroom. How you doing, Dave?
I'm good.
Show us what you got here, Dave.
So we've got a map of Europe and Northern Africa and the Middle East showing this is the natural gas pipelines. The red lines are existing. The blue and the dotted, I believe, are proposed. This is from 2003, so it is 17 years old. But it's important to look at maps like this because it really shows the idea of how developed these pipeline systems are throughout the world. And they are
especially proposed pipelines. I think proposed pipelines really are incredible because whoever gets to here first wins, right? Wherever the gas comes from, that person wins and everyone else loses. Mm-hmm. So I like
that's kind of the key spoke that gets a lot of attention with Ukraine sort of being the wheel point of allowing the Russian gas to travel into Europe. So that's always been sort of a strategic part of Europe.
And then what's happened since this is the South Stream here is gone through here and then up this way. And then so there's a second stream that's been added here and the North Stream up here. And then you've heard Trump talk about the pipeline from Russia to Germany. And it really is these NATO generals really do get involved in this stuff. And it colors their decisions. And you're going to see behind me General Kelly and a whole bunch of other generals who were involved in doing a deal with this country right here, Iran, to get their stuff to market, right? And you're going to see how there's
I'm taking rogue nation autonomous status of Iran.
Okay, great.
So it's a good place to do, if you need to do deal in material that's banned by your country, you can come visit me in Iran. And
now, are you going to be dating Lisa Page, who's is she a Bin Laden girl? She looks a lot like that newer Bin Laden.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought that when they did the they showed that Bin Laden's niece, I believe, was trying to get help from Trump somehow, and just facially she reminded me of Lisa Page.
That would be pretty clever to just say, hey, wait a minute, I got a great idea. I'm George Bush. I'm working with the Bin Ladens. I'm John Brennan, his protege. Let's just put our kids, because I've got, how many kids were there with Bin Laden? 50 boys.
50 sons that were brothers to
and
Bin
then
Laden,
17
Bin Laden.
girls.
Of course, most people, think of him as the terrorist. They don't think of them as the construction company doing super projects around the world, building dams, pipelines. They're one of the only construction companies in the world that is capable of doing some of these major projects. So, they're much more than obviously just the Osama bin Laden being a famous character. There's, much more to their background.
Sort of cut in the cloth of Bechtel. And then if you want to look for the weapons side of that, which the bin Laden group also does, we just don't know that yet. It's Battelle and Columbus, Ohio, where Lisa Page and Peter Struck are based is where we're going. So now we're going to walk over here. Thank you very much. You want to get another?
No, I'm happy to. Yeah,
there you go.
We love the Persian rugs.
Yeah.
In our auto
Don't
zone.
misuse.
We have the best rug game in the whole world.
Don't misuse your ambassadorship like Imran Awan did with the CIA car dealership and running drugs and weapons in Operation Cassandra. Don't do that. Okay. Okay.
Stick with the rugs.
Stick with the rugs. Okay. All right. And I'm sad to say we do not have here at the Swing State Newsroom. We do not have a Persian rug. So there you have it. So let's move over here. Tim Spencer is brought me this story this morning about TurkeyGate. Why don't you talk a little bit about Sibel Edmonds and TurkeyGate?
Yes, George, I'd love to, but I do want to say something about our state of Michigan when
Sure.
we're through with this.
No, go ahead. Say state of Michigan first.
Okay. First of all, I wanted to say that my wife being an RN and I being involved in radiology equipment, we've spent a lifetime in healthcare. And we have a facility in town that is locally supported by millage. It's a skilled care facility. I can't tell you how many patients are there. But when I worked on the x-ray equipment there, they always had these rooms that all the patients were able to congregate in, and they all ate there and they all had crafts. And it was a very nice place, actually. This place now, because of the lockdown, the patients are locked in the rooms. They're not allowed to leave out of their rooms. They eat in their rooms. They don't mix with other people. In fact, the RN that I know that is working out there right now told me the only people that leave their rooms are the people that don't know where they're at. And they stumble out of their rooms and they get around. So, but they do have an ability the patients can greet their families, and that is if it is warmer than 60 degrees and less than 90 degrees, and they can schedule a one-time appointment once a week for 30 minutes where they meet outside, or they can come with their mask and stand outside of a window and look at their loved one through the window, but have to wear a mask. So as bad as this is for the patients, the staff is demoralized, the staff is burned out, so that they actually had to change the scheduling for these people to 12-hour shifts, because in healthcare, the standard thing is everybody works every other weekend. You have to do it because the weekends have to be staffed. Then they went to these 12-hour things where actually people were paid to work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then have the week off. But in this case, here in this facility, every staff had to work every other weekend. So what they've done is changed it so everybody gets 12 hours. And then they get a period of 6 days off so that they can breathe again and get away from the situation they're in. So the staff is actually burned out from working there. And you can't even imagine what the people are. And I had a doctor's appointment here just before I came here, George, and I asked my doctor, I said, what is the deal with the nursing homes? What is the facility? Why? And there was no answer.
Wow. Well, one thing I can see already is you take people that are in older and you take away their kids, you take away their grandkids, you take away their friends, you take away their people that are there with at the facility. Both my parents went through that in facility, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And then you basically take away their life. I mean, you're going to have people just dying where they lose will to live. Maybe that's the intention of all this. But again, this isn't one of those things where we're just telling the truth. I mean, this is just journalism. This is not a political statement here.
Right. But if I hadn't known this RN personally, I wouldn't know that story.
Right. Thank you.
It's not published.
Yeah. And on that note, I want to go over and just show you that we're trying to show in our newsroom here an appreciation for journalists that do come here. And we are going to show, I'll come right back to the story that Tim's going to bring us for TurkeyGate. But here's our good friend, Andy. Andy, how are you doing today?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. We're going to have some certificates for the people who come down here.
Yes, we are. I'm printing these bad boys off right now. For anyone that participates in our program here, you get to earn one of these certificates. It'll be signed by GW over here and Mr. Aaron Adler, who helped co-found the Neighborhood News Hour. Just, as you guys know, trying to do God's work out here, do the Lord's work, spread the good word, and get some stuff done. So come on out and get your award.
And it will be mounted on, I think, a wood, titanium, or some other. We haven't decided on what it's going to be mounted on, but it'll be a nice plaque. And what a conversation starter to red pill your friends, right? Hey, where did you get that citizen journalism plaque? It's not that you've now got a plaque before. It's a conversation starter so that you can say, well, I was listening to Tim Spencer. So Tim, bring us this story now about TurkeyGate.
Right. Well, I've been following this along with Sibel, and also in the comments of a lot of your videos, there were a lot of people. In fact, even yesterday, there were comments, when can George fill us in on TurkeyGate? Because it's all anticipated that this is coming. But basically, it starts from back 4 years ago, George, when all I heard was pipelines, pipelines, pipelines. Everything all this criminality, all of these undertones of everything that's happening is pipelines. And I really didn't understand that because I didn't know that much about it. But basically we're finding there's a group of generals because of all the money that's involved in the pipelines in all the countries that have, through NATO and through our deep state, if you want to call it that, are all in the business of making money. And these wars and all the things that we've seen in these the last 10 years have all been, the wars are all predicated on the pipelines and getting control of the energy and getting the other countries out of it, or being able to keep some country from selling their energy so some other country can sell it where we make all the money, or getting sanctions on a country so we can buy their oil cheaper and peddle it along the other side. But it basically is a group of people now, primarily former generals, or not generals that have fallen out of graces with Donald Trump, that he's actually had them in as advisors and whatever, and now they all basically seem to have turned against him and are running this coup to run him out of office.
And so the journalist Sibel Edmonds, who was with the FBI as an interpreter, she has a show, Newsbud, and then Patreon also, and I'm one of her supporters. I think Tim is one of her supporters. And so you'll only see this content by going to her Patreon. But what she's basically has said is this coup is coming. Donald Trump will be knocked out here in the next few days. The reason for knocking out all the people that are knowledgeable about this, I lost my new YouTube channel three months ago, is to silence the resistance to this. And it could be that the reason they're knocking out the Q thing and then, deflecting it, it's all Pedogate and all that, is because a lot of the Q people also knew about this stuff.
Yes. And one thing about Sibel is that she's got like a 6-part series on it, but she identifies all the people there are people already in jail, actually, that they've got testimony from. The testimony's all lined up. It's all set up, and it's all ready to take Trump down. The point that she's very clear to make is that all the testimony that's going to be given is not necessarily true. What it is that everybody is covering each other.
Right.
So everybody that's about to testify, they've all got organized so that they're all telling the same story.
Right.
And that is supposed to fool the American people.
Yeah, it's almost like you had 5 or 6 people at a bank or a casino all working together to steal the casino for 4 or 5 years, and then you get a new person, and the new person isn't going to be a part of the thing. You say, okay, let's all get together and blame it on the new guy. I always compare it to a bank heist where you get an Uber driver, and the Uber driver that comes to pick you up, that's going to be the guy that you all testify, if you get caught, thought of the whole thing. Right. So it's easy. The key here, we're going to go through some pictures. Go ahead.
Reminds me about Harvey Fishmonger. We have to blame it on somebody.
Yeah. In the case of COVID, it wasn't China. It wasn't a bioweapons program. It was literally a stupid fishmonger that was,
It fell from the sky.
It fell from the sky. I think they actually had in the movie Contagion a bat hitting a beam, like a dumb bat, that doesn't have sonar. It just hits a beam. It falls in. A pig eats it. The pig goes to the farm. The fish Harvey somehow mixes the pig in with the fish, and then some NATO courier just happens to be eating at the fish market in Wuhan, and that's how we end up with a worldwide pandemic. So that was the original story, folks. If you're believing whatever they're saying now, you had to believe them back then. Now, what we're going to do? Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say that Gwyneth Paltrow was the patient zero in that Contagion movie. She ate the pit pork dinner, I believe, at the restaurant.
Okay, and let's just be clear here. I never said Gwyneth Paltrow was patient zero. Okay, so yeah. So anyway, and we've got Wes McCullough back there in the back. He was the star from this morning. Would you like to add anything, Wes?
Well, just
Wait, whoa. Everybody says I don't get close enough to you when you talk.
okay. Well, I'll just speak up.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I just was glad to hear it wasn't my my comfort bat, the Wuhan
Your Wuhan
in the shopping bag that was responsible. So
Yeah, the Wuhan comfort bats are very popular items now. You can get those. Who better to spend your time with it when you're sheltering in place,
Well,
right?
Pangolin, I believe, was also a suspect early.
The penguin?
The pangolin, I think.
Oh, the pangolin, yes.
Yeah, that was a new animal, like kind of an anteater type animal. That was another potential.
Bring up a picture of the pangolin, please. Whatever happened to the pangolin theory? Remember that? And then there was a snake theory, and there was all these other theories of how it transferred. Finally, they're going to come up with a pangolin. They're going to come up with an animal that looks like a drone. Just so all the drone sightings where people have gotten sick, they could say, well, that's not a drone. That's a pangolin. Here's a pangolin.
Here's the pangolin. But for whatever reason, this computer is
Don't worry about that.
very sketchy.
Yeah,
there's the pangolin.
There's the pangolin. Here we go. Okay, so let's move over here and talk about people that I've kind of had some brushes with. This is going to be Spells. Yes, she's been on a long time. There's Kevin Timmer. This is General Mattis. I've talked to many people that work for General Mattis. Even his translator was my Lyft driver once, one of his translators. Danny DeVito was the pangolin. Did not know that. So Mattis is in on this. You want to go to Kelly, maybe? I get a picture of General Kelly. He was the chief of staff. Bruce Orr is retiring, but isn't it funny how Bruce Orr was the last person to go right until the election? So that means he's going to have top secret access that he could feed the conspirators and Crossfire Hurricane of Strzok and Page right to the day that Donald Trump goes to an election. Let's see. All these same people tried to take down Trump in the insurance policy last time with a spying campaign, but yet we let one of the key conspirators go all the way 4 years to the last day. Do you need 5 people to print out all the? Here's Andy. He's built the system. He's built the classified printing system right here. Hillary only needed one maid to print the classified system. That's all we need to do is have one person, Bruce Orr. How could we have let that happen? You know that what Tim is talking about has to be in the offing because they left Bruce Orr into the last day before the election. So there's General Kelly, and then whether Mike Flynn is involved in this or not, we don't know. But he is definitely being kind of kept to the side, away from this. You can always take your Wuhan comfort bat on the plane with you, this Carrie says. So that's interesting. So now also, if you want to go, this is Rex Tillerson. Rex Tillerson is involved in this. That's Kelly.
Yeah.
And if you think of it, Dave, if you could pick up a picture of Iran, the Iran pipeline, and the SOCAR, S-O-C-A-R refinery.
I just want to point out, too,
Sure.
George, that the fish market's open again.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Oh, yes, in China it's open and they're going full tilt and no changes have been made. And so probably expect something to come back out of there when something gets mixed together.
You think Gwyneth Paltrow is never going to eat there again?
Uh,
Or you don't know? Okay.
But nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. Okay. So far, let's go to our studio audience here now. And just before we get into the guts of TurkeyGate, remember, you're going to learn a very simple methodology from the neighborhood news crew that you're going to understand everything. Their explanation is going to completely confuse you. So our studio audience, any questions?
Questions? I guess if you guys just could simplify TurkeyGate for those that don't know as best you can, I would say that would be my only ask. Yeah, so Russiagate in the past, TurkeyGate in the present.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So,
Tom, anything for the sake of that emotion?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So here's my quick one is, Tim's going to do it.
My understanding is they learned from Russiagate exactly what they need to do to pull off another impeachment. And this time here, they've got everybody telling the same story. They're all validating everybody else's story. And it's all, I mean, who wouldn't believe the generals?
Right. Who wouldn't believe in generals? I think that's the thing is the generals didn't want to do this themselves. They wanted to do it with their seconds. The first Russiagate you're going to find, I mean, it's going to be this simple. The first Crossfire Hurricane was done by the seconds, meaning the people reporting for the generals. This Russiagate is going to actually be done by the generals themselves.
And this is my favorite guy.
And this has everything to do. This is going to be your assassin. This is the guy they're cloistering right now in Turkey. We're going to bring you back to the assassin in 1 second. I'll be right back to you, Tim. Here's the gas pipelines here. Dave's going to take us through that. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh,
Well, let me stop with this.
Okay.
The Baku, 500 million barrels of both oil and gas there, right? This is one of the largest ones. There's another one over here in the Mediterranean called the Leviathan. And the whole game is to get around. There's many that go across as well, but you've got to get this sanctioned gas or sanctioned oil, right, out of there. And Turkey is in the catbird seat. Turkey is in the key strategic position. That's the key thing to remember. Now, there is a way you saw there that you could go around Turkey by going through the Baku, going through Tbilisi, Georgia. And there again, that's why you find by highly enriched Mueller there. Do you want to look at the South Stream pipeline and we'll come back? Okay, so now we're going to jump around a little bit, but we've told you Baku, Baku, Baku. Yes, Bo says. This is our assassin. This is our Vatican assassin. This is the guy who learned his techniques by Steve Bannon. Wait till they tie their shoes, then give him a knife in the kidneys. Wait till they tie their shoes.
So George, you said he was sequestered. Is that the same as being in prison?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the story that I'm going to write as a cover officer is he's in prison. When I mean he's sequestered is he's now dating Gwyneth Paltrow. She's moved from wherever she is, and this guy's living a good life. Now here is a guy you may remember me talking about 4 years ago, and if you remember Zah, right? This is Reza Zarrab, right? He's the gold trader, right? And I said all this. People who've been on the channel a long time will know this. It's all about gold for oil. Right? Gold for oil. George, why was it all about gold for oil? He was a gold trader. We're going to get to Lev Parnas in a second. But why was it about gold for oil? Well, Dave, if you want to pull up a picture of Iran again, that would be awesome.
okay.
You got, or leave a tab.
I'm very frustrated with my searching right now.
Whatever happens, they won't know if you don't say. So it's all good. The idea here is we're going to sanction Iran because they're bad and we don't want them to trade. Okay, that's the key, right? That's what sanctions are all about. You wouldn't put sanctions on somebody who wasn't being bad. It's like you wouldn't punish your child for being good, would you? You'd punch it. Excuse me. You'd punish them for being bad, right? That's what sanctions are about. Okay. When you have oil as your number one commodity and you're sanctioned, you have no way of you have no choices in your trade partners. You have to trade with whoever has the loophole. The loophole was gold for oil. We told you it was Erdogan's son of Turkey who had a tanker. Only he could do the gold for oil. So only by going through Turkey on land for the pipeline or by sea through Erdogan's son, could you trade, okay? And you trade with these NATO people. What does NATO have that Iran wants? What does NATO have that Iran wants? Weapons. It was oil for weapons. Gold was just used as a commodity. Can you imagine if you said to your son or daughter, and you're punishing them, you know, I'm not going to let you go to the store and get candy, right? If you use any kind of dollar bills. But if you trade those dollar bills into dimes and quarters, you can go and eat out the candy store. You can go crazy. Okay. What do you think your children would do if you gave them a roll of 20s? You think, well, that's too bad for me. I got this roll of 20s in my pocket. I know I'm being punished for the next year. No candy for me. Or would you find somebody who could trade the dollars into metal? Yes, you would. And that's Zarab. That's the picture of Zarab. He was the gold trader. They're trying to make this look like a bank fraud case, and they're not going to tell you about the pipelines. They're going to tell you about the money changing. They're going to tell you about the money changing, and that's what Zarab is doing. He's working with Preet Bahara on the money changing thing with a bank called Hallbank.
Hallbank, yes.
Hallbank, Hulk Bank, Halk. We'll bring it up.
Yes.
Okay, so a little bit like George Floyd. Yes, my kids would.
South Stream, Nord Stream, and the Nabucco, like for whatever reason, the Apple.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Just show me this one. Okay, so here is Turkey coming through here. This is a way. If you were a NATO general and you had a back deal on the Iran deal to get Iranian oil, here's your money line right here. And guess who your competition is? Vladimir Putin with oil through the Black Sea. If I stop Putin, I sell the oil. If I have problems here along the way and I don't do the deal with Turkey, I can't sell the oil, right? I stop Putin, I put my spies in here, I slow that down, I sell all the oil.
And
right?
just a question: wasn't the Bulgarian route the name of sort of the French connection also for the after they moved from the Golden Triangle? I feel like the Bulgarian route was the name of the
Bulgarian route. Okay,
Mhm.
I remember the Arsenal factory there that we said was.
This
There's also a big arsenal in Kiev that is going to come back.
Yeah, this is in pipeline.
Yeah. Well, I'll let's pick that up when we do that show. I think that's I remember that. Okay, Kate has said here, can't cover up. It's covered up by the comments. Can't see the map. Can you show that one more time? Okay, the idea is, can you see it? The idea is that the red route is the NATO general's route, okay? And the blue route is Putin's route. So if I block Putin,
And then the Nord Stream 2 is also an interesting.
Nord Stream is the way.
St. Petersburg to Germany.
Yeah, so, and but that's okay because if I'm in Germany and that's the NATO route, I control that, and I can use NATO money, right? That's a NATO country. I can use NATO money to build the pipeline.
But it skips Ukraine though.
Skips Ukraine, but we know we can stop Putin if we stop him in Ukraine, right? He's got to go on land, right? As our competitor. Can you show me the SOCAR refinery? Show me pictures of SOCAR refinery, and I'll show you why Flynn has a business partner that gave money for the SOCAR refinery. Here he is. One of the things you do if you're buying this, now we got the gold, now we've got the oil, we sent Erdogan's son, but oil doesn't refine itself. So what do we need to do? We need to refine it, and we need to have the largest refinery in the world built by guess who?
Stars born.
Guess who? The American taxpayer with the Exim Bank. SOCAR, $6.3 billion refinery paid for by the American taxpayer with the Exim Bank. Who did that? That was Bijan Kian, the business partner of Mike Flynn. So that is going to be the Flynn connection. We'll see. The reason why we will stop this, if we have a chance of stopping this, is to expose how the money was used and how these generals are financially all interested together. We can show, as an attorney, you could say, you 12 all worked, you Ocean's 11 all worked together at the casino and you stole billions over 11 years. And then Trump came in to work the cashier as the 12th Ocean guy, and now you're blaming it on him. Of course, all 11 of you agree, right? Of course, all 11 of you have a motive. If you want to bring in 50 people into the conspiracy, I'd have the same argument for 50 people. Of course, all 50 of you agree. You're all criminally involved in a conspiracy. Trump was not involved at the time of the Iran nuclear deal was being used. This is the defense for Donald Trump. This is how Donald Trump will knock down this. This is coming. They wouldn't have eliminated those YouTube channels. Those are the only other people other than I have to say, this channel that knew about this pipeline deal and these generals. If you remember, Q was out there talking about the NATO generals. Q kind of knew this was coming. Sibel is the only other person that I think has the inside line on this. So where do we go from here? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say too that the commitment is that it's all been orchestrated, that everybody has heard somebody, and Bill Barr's aware or was part of it to hear that Trump was making that deal with that Hulk Bank to stop Erdogan, stop the investigation into Erdogan. It sounds familiar to the Biden Ukraine thing, but they're after Trump for supposedly stopping an investigation into Hulk Bank. And supposedly McMaster and everybody, they're all in this and have all orchestrated their testimonies, and Barr's overheard this in some way.
Yeah, and it's like the Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
Only it's the Incredible Hulk, H-A-L-K, not the Incredible Hulk like Erdogan's son's liner. Remember we told you about this in 2016. So let's go through the conspirators now, right here. There's McMaster. He's one of them. He was the general counsel and national security advisor, I believe, at one point for Trump, or the chief of staff at least. You just move along the timeline, and as you do, I'll say the names. Mattis, of course. Just keep moving along the timeline. Don't play it. Just move your mouse along the timeline.
Okay, it's hard to see.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Okay, that's Sibel Edmonds.
yeah.
That's Mnuchin, because you need to have the Treasury needs to supply you with a gold for oil loophole, and Mnuchin was inherited that, but Wilbur Ross also and Mnuchin have worked together on these deals in the past. So,
And I think Barr's daughter went from the Justice Department to FinCEN. I think she's with the Treasury Department now. So
that's convenient.
Mary Daly, I believe, is what she goes by, but it's Bill Barr's daughter. So there's a lot of close connections to these people.
So here it is. If you want to Trump now, you're going to find this Tillerson is going to be in on the conspiracy here. He's going to be saying Trump's a bad guy, and it's going to be very similar to what you heard before. They're going to try to get Trump on obstruction. The way you do these things is you tell a little bit of the information about the conspiracy to the mark, to the patsy, right? And then the patsy is approached by different people saying, "Help me, help me, help me, help me." You know, Erdogan says, "Help me," and then Trump says, "Well, let's back off a little bit on that." And then, "Oh, we're all going to record him." I was shocked when he said that. I ran into the night. I didn't know what to say. I called my wife. I immediately wrote a note to myself. I said, we have to cover all of our bases. We have to play this all by the book. You know, that's what you're going to hear at the trial. So go ahead.
And of course, Rudy Giuliani. They're going to involve him.
Right. And now this was where a whole another set of my metadata with Lev Parnas is going to come up, because the guy who brokered the weapons from the weapons stores in Ukraine. Okay, remember, if I'm stealing NATO weapons, Dave, can you show me Turkey to Ukraine and how far I have to move the NATO weapons? If I move it to a broker, I can do joint exercises there. I can do joint training exercises there. I can move a whole bunch of NATO weapons to Ukraine. And I have auspices to do that in a huge way, right? To help to save Ukraine. And I can write big stories about how all the great battles that were fought in Ukraine and how all that equipment that you brought us is gone. We used it all in the battle. Meanwhile, I used a very small percentage of it. And I'm going to take the rest of it and I'm going to send it to Iran. That's what happened. And that's where the role Ukraine is playing. Okay. So we don't have to go there. I explained it. So there's the Rob. There's the gold trader we told you about. He was actually in the same jail, right, where I had the BlackBerry. Okay. He was in the same jail. And he was, when I was holding the BlackBerry, they knew that I knew he was there. And they knew about this conspiracy that I'd been talking about for 120 days when I was standing there, because this was negotiated with those BlackBerries. So, okay. I'm going to answer the question. You can go a little bit further, Tim. Okay. I'm going to answer the question on putting up the comments. There's some people that visually can't see the comments, and so they're benefited greatly visually by being able to see them. I know it is distracting. I know we lose 20% of the screen in certain cases, but I'll try to make amends to get all that. So, Dave, map of Europe.
I'm able to pull a map up here.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
So you wanted to go show the Turkey to Ukraine, the different routes.
Yeah, I'm just saying if your weapon store is here, okay, and you're flying interpipe, if Victor Pinchuk is flying, if he has a reason, if he's flying interpipe piping to Iran for supposedly the purposes of building a pipeline, like we were talking about before, then on that same flight, remember Kolomoisky, where's our Kolomoisky pictures? Kolomoisky, let's get Kolomoisky. I got him right here. If I have an Antonov 225, the largest cargo plane in the world, I can bring those directly to Iran. I can bring those weapons directly to Iran. What you saw with the pallet of cash was to divert your attention away from this much bigger deal, this bigger arms deal. Okay. So
I just think this sums it up really very, very, very well.
okay, go
And
ahead.
this is from December of 2018. This clip here of, from CBS in the morning.
Okay, go ahead.
It's very simple that the former Secretary of State has a different value system and different style from Otis.
Yeah, well, that's
I mean, imagine.
for sure. He wants to do deals for himself.
And it was the Exxon that Tillerson was brought over from, and he was actually given his security clearance under Obama before Trump brought him on board, if that's my understanding correctly.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, he was. So the answer here is simple. Generals, pipelines. Generals, pipelines. Throw NATO in if you really want to go crazy. If you can't remember, if you have room for 3 words to remember, think NATO generals. How long have I been talking about the NATO generals? For 4 years. 4 years. Pipelines. NATO generals, pipelines. For 4 years, I've been talking about this, drawing these things out. It's happening now. It's happening now. I'm getting so many calls from people who watch Sibel Edmonds saying, you know that stuff you were saying with the NATO generals and the pipelines and their pipeline deal, and they were all going to coup against Trump? It's happening. It's happening. But it's only people who watch Sibel Edmonds that are saying this, because only people who watch Sibel Edmonds know about TurkeyGate.
But she knows Turkey.
She knows Turkey. She knows Turkey. And at the end of the day, folks, this is where, at the end of the day, you have to let yourself put the last piece of the puzzle in. You have to let yourself put the last piece of the puzzle in to figure out why General Flynn has had the longest 4-year trial, why he's been continually kept in the shuttled away, why he's business partners with Bijan Khan, who built that SOCAR pipeline, who gave the $6.3 billion. General Flynn was a part of the energy deals, either willingly or unknowingly or unwillingly, but he was a part of it. And we have to get he had the encrypted communications. You see it up there in the corner. With the BlackBerry, with Kislyak. You just have to ask yourself, did he just start communicating with Kislyak when Trump won and he was down there at Mar-a-Lago and then he went to Puerto Rico, or were they using that communications pair for a lot longer than that? Like for the APU deal where there was 30 nuclear power plants that were negotiated. Remember, General Flynn's flying all around during the Iran nuclear deal to soothe and salve the Sunni nations to make them happy. This is all about pipelines. Okay, I think we did a good job. I want to go up. We got
I
more.
didn't get my flag, George.
Oh,
Mexico.
Okay.
Yes, I was assigned Mexico, and I just wanted to. I really like this because all the people that I know have been to Cancun or have been to Mexico, and I haven't. And one day I might go there.
Maybe we'll get a super chat. Maybe we'll get $1 super chat, and then we'll start your fund. So very good job. Thank you very much. Okay, so what we're going to do is open it up to questions now. And we're going to go to our studio questioners. And we're going to see if they have any questions. And Addy, or you can just say, just good job. I understand it completely. And, just, pocket the super chats. Addy, what did you think?
I thought it was a good explanation. Quick question. If you want people to take one thing away from TurkeyGate, what would you say that would be? I
would say it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening. like I said, when you do these stories, when you really do the deep dives, when you really get into the maps and so forth of all the different pipelines and stuff, where you really study it and you really do the work, like going to every day of the Giuliani trial, going to every day of the Manafort trial, going every day to the Papadopoulos, and talking to the people who did the documentary film of Papadopoulos, talking to everyone who knew Carter Page. When you actually go and drill down, it's almost like if you make a cake with this recipe, you're going to get a cake. It had to be the NATO generals with the pipelines. It's sort of like the NATO generals with the pipelines in the conservatory, like Clue, like we talked about. It is the answer to the test. Sibel is right. It is coming. And the way you stop it, the defense is, of course, conspirators are going to agree. Of course, you're all going to agree. You've been doing pipeline deals for yourself. And this was all before Trump ever came in. Of course, you're all going to agree now that it's Trump's fault. Isn't that like the same way you all agreed that it was Trump that was working for Russia? And wasn't it all you same guys on those Blackberries? Blackberries still do matter. And that's the name of that book that's written by an author by the name of George Webb. And I just going to show the books here really quickly. This you can buy right now. This you can't. Somewhere Under the Rainbow. You can't get YouTube's Finest Hour. But you can get these three. What would you like to say, Ambassador?
Bolton. We forgot Ambassador Bolton.
Bolton's in this too.
Oh, wait. He wrote the book.
Yeah, a lot of this was in the book. You're correct. A lot of these, what Tim is saying is you get the tip off in Bolton's book. He lines this out of what they're going to do. This is what Nancy Pelosi is talking about when she's talking about the 25th Amendment coming back, right?
Yes.
Because in the book and also in the proceedings, they talk about Trump being delusional.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a lot of clips out there of these people speaking, and then Bloomberg reported that stating delusional. That's the word.
Right. And I was at the trial where they had hired Rudy Bakhtiar, all these people at the Flynn Intel Group. They'd hired Rudy Bakhtiar. They'd hired all these FBI people, had paid for all these psychologists. They were filming them with Rudy Bakhtiar in a hotel on DuPont Circle. Thank you, David. And they were ready to do this 3 years ago. And what they did is they decided, hey, Trump's going to be more formidable. Let's see if some of these other things work before we have to play our cards as the generals who are actually pulling the strings. You always want underlings doing this for you if you can get away with it. But the underlings were incompetent. The impeachments didn't work, right? So now it's left to the generals. The generals will be the backstabbers in the next 3 weeks. Go ahead, David.
Did that group also have an investment in like a company called like Brain Scan or Brainwave or something? I believe there was like a kind of I don't know if it was like a mental health evaluation tool, like a new technology, but
it was Brainwave because we actually used a mnemonic device of Brainwave, if you remember.
I do now.
Yeah, you do now. Yeah, see, because those mnemonic devices should be better. So
a lot of things to try to remember. But
no. I'm just kidding you. But it was Brainwave, and the thing that Dave's mentioning, which is very good here, is that hey, if I have a new esoteric technology, and I ask Trump to take the test, then I can bring in my expert to interpret it to say he's delusional as far as this new super scan brainwave. Remember. Why is Flynn Intel Group working with brainwave technology? If they're an intelligence group and supposedly to evaluate spies and informants and so forth was what they were saying, but Flynn Intel Group is also doing all the spy gear with the Green Zone phones. But also the people that are in the Flynn Intel Group are running the Now Ruse Foundation for 9 years, right? With who? The government of Iran. It was a PR firm. It was a PR play. The whole idea was to do a pipeline across the shelf of Africa with Iran, Arab Spring. That was the East Med pipeline. That became the backbone of the East Med pipeline. Finishing off where? In Cyprus, where Paul Manafort's story ends. So go Dave first.
Okay.
Go
I was just curious about the connection with Giuliani also with the Flynn Intelligence Group and sort of his role in negotiating the Iran nuclear deal, and also his history in finance in California, running CalPERS, and sort of, how that all fits into this Flynn Intelligence Group.
Wow, we have an intelligence group here. That was a great question. Not only does Bijan Kian, the guy who negotiates the Iran nuclear deal. I wonder if you were doing a pipeline deal and doing an energy deal in one way and a weapons deal the other way. I wonder if the guy negotiating it, right, would be handy to have inside your intelligence group. And the other thing Dave's talking about is he had a deal, Bijan County, California, with Sempra Energy. Sempra Energy was buying the rogue gas that's generated from these drilling finds. You drill for the oil, but then you get these off gases that are produced. You can capture the off gases and sell those into our energy market. And Sempra Energy, the CEO, the woman CEO, testified at Bijan Kian's trial. I saw it with my own two eyes. So this is really great. Okay, one more thing.
Here's my Hulk bank. Just I wanted to
Oh, Hulk bank.
Yeah, I couldn't get the English version. I don't know why. I might be banned from that. But I did want to say too that the books were written by the books have already been out about Trump being delusional back several years ago. They brought up I think right after the election they brought up the 25th Amendment, and there were actually people, doctors, that were testifying they couldn't get his cabinet to flip on him or something like that. But it's just funny that Nancy Pelosi has brought up the delusional and the 25th Amendment all of a sudden out of the blue now, and that's being promoted before they hit you with.
You can read Adam Schiff like a thin book, right? You don't need much more than this to figure out Adam Schiff trying to be a frustrated screenwriter. And you know which direction a frustrated screenwriter is going to go to when he gets in a pinch. He's going to rewrite something that he's already written. And this is exactly what he's done. He's taken his script, Adam's taken his script, blown it off, blown the dust off, and running it again with the NATO generals with the pipelines. We said it was 4 years ago. We were right. It just took Adam Schiff 4 years to realize he has no creativity, and the same plan that he did 4 years ago with the NATO generals, he's executing now. Dave.
He's awful quiet lately.
He's awfully quiet lately.
I was also with the whole 25th Amendment. I also remember a lot with Rod Rosenstein being somebody that was going to, volunteer to wear the wire. We also had CNN's Andy McCabe, hiding in the curtains or whatever.
Hiding behind the curtains. Yes, and Brian McCauley of the FBI giving Mike Flynn and Flynn Intel Group all this money for psychologists to evaluate Trump. We got money from Stefan Halper for the evaluation. Remember the evaluation group that he ran over there at Net Assessment, Office of Net Assessment. Yeah. So anyway, Dave, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And you had a great one, which you were talking. It's off topic. We're going to get to it, but the Wagner Group. You talked about how the crash recently of these intelligence officers, one from Space Intelligence and one from the Air Force Intelligence. The one in Tennessee.
Yeah.
What was interesting about that was that it comes back to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Right. That was.
And if you watch the show, you get these crazy connections, but it does help you figure out the puzzle. This is what, Dave? Tell us the bug.
So this is the bug. One of the, I always try to connect Detroit to everything. And Charles Kettering was a General Motors CEO. People know him from Sloan Kettering. But he was the head of this Dayton Wright Airplane Company, which was in Dayton, Ohio, which, as we know, becomes sort of a hub for Dornberger and a lot of the
Paperclip Nazis.
Yeah, paperclip Nazis. A lot of the aerospace technology came to Dayton, Ohio. So just curious about that. But he did have this Kettering bug that was later turns into these
do the Wagner buzz bomb.
And this is the
so Wagner. Now this is how it ties to the DNC. The DNC, the Raskub DuPont place that we go, that task force and I go to for the Russian spies, not Nazi spies with Russian passports, but whoever they were, one of the groups that came there for developing this bomb in World War II, the pilotless bomb, was the Wagner group. And they stayed there actually at the DuPont thing. So are these things like what we said they were? These DuPont mansions are just ways of exfiltrating secrets in two directions for exfiltrating weapons programs in all these different countries? I think so. And Dave said, well, isn't the Wagner group the one that did the takedown on Trump for all the Trump trolls? You remember the Prigozhin that supposedly Putin's chef was the Wagner group? He's really got all these armies, just like Kolomoisky has Azov armies. The Wagner group has all these other armies, and they fight each other. two mercenary armies fight each other, and then we blame Russia for the Wagner Group, and then we blame Ukraine for the Kolomoisky. So all I need is two guys to fight each other, and then Kolomoisky gets 5.6 billion in USAID. He gets 18.5 billion in IMF. All I have to do is to make two phone calls, to make two text messages on the BlackBerry, get these two guys fighting for an hour and a half, and I get 5 billion from U.S. Congress to make the world safe for democracy. It's a great scam. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Oh, it's
The bug.
The bug. No, I'm just thinking too. Kettering is also the name of the GMI, which is the General Motors, engineering college, which is in I believe Saginaw, Michigan, and so that's just another connection with history of engineering. And
TACOM. We went up to the TACOM.
TACOM is in Warren, Michigan,
Yeah.
so that has a lot of General Motors and Chrysler history in there as well.
Okay, not to put too fine a point on it. There you are, Greg. I see you. Got it now. Now subscribe. Thank you. We need more subscribers. We need to get to 10,000 subscribers to be taken seriously by the mainstream media. If we get to 10,000, we believe a lot of the basket of deplorable flags here will recognize us as an autonomous zone. If we get to 100,000, we think the United States may recognize us. So please do call all your friends right now. Just drop everything else you're doing. If you're doing surgery, wait to the end of the surgery, but then call and subscribe to this great channel. And we'll see you all on our next broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us all. And thank you all to our panel. Wave, everybody. In appreciation of our audience. There is Andy back there waving. Wave your flags. Can we wave your flags? Wave your flags. Yeah, there you are. Okay, ambassadors all. And let's go have a big, expensive dinner based on our budgets that we get from the Clinton Foundation, right? Because we're going to take them out and we get big kickbacks. We get billions, and then we only have to give them a few $1 million for their elections, and we'll make them beg for it right here at the end. Okay, thanks to everybody. Oh, they're consulting fees. I'm sorry, we weren't giving kickbacks. They were consulting fees. There you go.
Are we going to Bistro B?
Yeah, we're going to Bistro B. Yeah, we're going to Bistro B. We're going to see Butina. Butina is going to sell us some more weapons to the Wagner Group. Yeah, Butina's and Peter Strzok is so obvious. It's like, I worked with Addy Chapman for 12 years, but then I didn't work with Butina. We didn't replace the red-haired girl selling weapons to the Wagner Group with another red-haired girl selling weapons to the Wagner Group. That wasn't me. He forgot that part in your book, Peter. We're coming after you, brother. Only with information. We love you to death. We want you to live 100 years, but we're going to have you living on an island somewhere. Okay? Thanks a lot. Take care.